Okay, children, so let's start with the chapter of Jalebis. We have already discussed half of the chapter, so a quick revision can take place so that you all can make abreast with the chapter, right? I'm going to share the screen. Carry your books and a pencil in your hand and keep a dictionary as well with you, right? So, we have seen so far how an honest boy is on his way to school carrying money in his pocket to pay the school fees, and the sight of crisp, syrupy jalebis in the market excites him, and the coins in his pocket begin to jingle. After a long debate with himself, he yields to the sweet temptation. What do you mean by temptation? Say, what is. So I think Arav is trying to say something which you cannot resist, something which you really want to do and you don't have any resistance. You're bound to. You're helpless. All right. So are the people online attentively listening to me?
Yes, ma'am.
Nice. So I have already read the three bullets and we have finished the first part, I believe, right? From second we need to start, or can I begin once again? So I'll be reading quickly and you people should be with me. It happened many years ago. I was in the fifth standard at the government school Kambelpur, now called Atak. One day I went to school with 4 rupees in my pocket to pay the school fees and the fun. When I got there, I found that the teacher who collected the fees, Master Ghulam Muhammad, was on leave, and so the fees would be collected the next day. All through the day, the coins simply sat in my pocket, but once school got over and I was outside, they began to speak. All right, coins don't speak. They jingle or go kanak kanak. But I'm telling you, that day they actually spoke. One coin said, "What are you thinking about? Those fresh hot jalebis coming out of the kadao in the shop over there, they are not coming out for nothing. Jalebis are meant to be eaten, and only those with money in their pocket can eat them." So these are the voices in his minds, right? How you people get different kinds of whims when your ethics is actually at all, when one side of your mind says yes, let's do it, and the other side stops you. So the similar thing was happening with the little boy, and see how beautifully the writer has said that one of the coins was speaking to him. And money isn't for nothing. Money is meant to be spent, and only they spend it who like jalebis. "Look here, you 4 rupees," I said to them. "I am a good boy. Don't misguide me, or it won't be good for you. I get so much at home that I consider even looking at something in the bazaar a sin." Sin means something which you are forbidden to do. You're not allowed to do. You're not supposed to do at all. Besides, you're my fees and fun money. If I spend you today, then how shall I show my face to Master Ghulam Muhammad in school tomorrow? And after that to Allah Mia at Qayamat. Qayamat word in Hindi. Pralay. Pralay, right? Yes. You probably don't know it, but when Master Ghulam Muhammad gets angry and makes you stand on the bench, he simply forgets to let you sit till the last bell rings. So it's best you stop chewing at my ears like this and let me go home straight. The coins disliked what I had said so much that all of them began to speak at the same time. It shows how much he wanted to have the jalebis. The resistance was very much big. There was such a clamor that passers by in the bazaar stared, eyes wide with surprise, at me and my pocket. The coin of those days, the wrecked thing, made so much more noise too. Finally, in a panic, I grabbed all four of them and held them tight in my fist, and then they were silent. After taking a few steps, I loosened my grip. Immediately, the oldest coin said, "Here, we are trying to tell you something for your own good, and you try to strangle us instead." Strangle? What do you mean by strangle? Have you ever have any experience of being strangled by somebody? Okay, share your experiences. People who are online may also share. What do you mean by strangle? When someone by the throat, by the neck, loudly, angel. So usually when your parents are correcting you for something, they just come and slightly they just dab this, है ना? They just press it harder so you can't breathe. I have not seen any parents so far like this. Huh, Naveen? Any experience of being strangled? All right, so this is basically the device which the writer is using to make us realize what was actually going on with the boy, and in his head, the jalebis were all there. All right, so where we are, yeah. Instead, tell me honestly now, don't you feel like eating those hot jalebis? And then, if you do end up spending us for today, won't you get the scholarship money tomorrow? Sweets with the fees with the scholarship money. End of story. Kissa khatam, paisa hazam. What you're saying isn't right, I replied. So a kind of dialogue conversation is going on between two people, coins and the boy. Listen, stop blabbering and let me think. I'm not a common sort of boy. But then these jalebis are no common sort of jalebis either. They are crisp, fresh, and full of sweet syrup. Okay. My mouth watered, but I wasn't about to be swept away so easily. In school, I was among the most promising students. In the fourth standard exams, I had even won a scholarship of 4 rupees a month. Besides, I came from a particularly well to do family, so I enjoyed considerable prestige. I had never once been beaten. So far, on the contrary, Masterji had got me to beat the other boys. For a child of such status, standing there in the middle of the bazaar eating jalebis? No, it wasn't right. I decided. I clenched the rupees in my fist and came home. Very good. The coins were so keen on being spent that day, they kept up their attempts at persuasion till their voices began to choke. When I reached home and sat on the bed, they began to speak. I went inside to have lunch. They began to shriek. Thoroughly fed up, I rushed out of the house barefoot and ran towards the bazaar. Terrified I was. But quickly I told the halwai to weigh a whole rupee worth of jalebis. His astonished look seemed to be asking where I had the hand cart in which I would carry all those jalebis. It means he was bare hand. He did not carry anything with him. Those were inexpensive times. 1 rupee fetched more than 20 rupees does nowadays. The halwai opened up a whole newspaper and heaped a pile of jalebis on it. Is the story clear? And like we have recapitulated, though we have read it earlier also. I hope all are with me in this thing. Should I go ahead?
Yes, ma'am.
A heap of jalebis he eats and shares them liberally with one and all. Liberally means openly, not being very cunning. Okay, I am giving you a bite, a micron of the jalebi, and I'm going to have all the rest, right? Not like that. Liberally, he shared with all. Though penniless now, he feels no less important than a mob leader. Now he is having no money, but still the confidence is high. The real problem at hand is payment of school fees on time. Just as I was gathering up the heap, In the distance, I spotted our Tonga. Chacha Jan was returning from court. I clutched the jalebis to my chest and ran into a gully. When I reached a safe corner, I began to devour the jalebis. I ate so many jalebis that if anyone pressed my stomach a little, jalebis would have popped out of my ears and nostrils. Wow. Very quickly, boys from the entire neighborhood assembled in the gully. By that time, I was so pleased with my stomach full of jalebis that I got into the mood for some fun. I started handing out jalebis to the children around. Delighted, they ran off, jumping and screaming into the gullies. Soon a whole lot of other children appeared, probably having heard the good news from the others. I dashed to the halwai and bought one more rupees worth of jalebis, came back and stood on the chabutra of one of my houses, liberally distributing jalebis to the children just like the governor sahib used to distribute rice to the poor and needy on Independence Day. By now, there was a huge mob of children around me. The beggars too launched an assault. Means they all were, in the queue that we also today would get jalebis. If children could be elected to the assembly, my success would have been assured that day. Because one little signal from my jalebi wielding hand, and the mob would have been willing to kill and get killed for me. I bought jalebis for the remaining 2 rupees as well. Now all four was spent and distributed them. Then I washed my hands and mouth at the public tap and returned home, putting on such an innocent face as if I hadn't even seen the hint of a jalebi all my life. Jalebis I had gobbled up easily enough, but digesting them became another matter. With every breath came a burp, and with every burp, the danger of bringing out a jalebi or two. The fear was killing me. At night, I had to eat my dinner as well. Such pressure he had. If I hadn't eaten, I would have been asked to explain why I did not want any food. And if I had pretended illness, the doctor would have been summoned. And if the doctor, after feeling my pulse, had declared, Munna has devoured a mound of jalebis, I would simply die. The boy himself. Munna, the parents would call him, right? The result was that all night I lay, coiled up like a jalebi, suffering a stomach ache. Thank God I didn't have to eat all 4 rupees worth of jalebis by myself. अगर वो खा लेते तो क्या हाल होता? Otherwise, as they say, when children speak, flowers shower from their mouths. But I would be the first child in the world with whose every word a crisp fried jalebi would come out. Children don't have stomachs, they have digestion machines. My machine too kept working right through the night. In the morning, just like my other day, I washed my face and like a virtuous student, virtuous means having full of virtues, so many qualities, good qualities, है ना? Good and noble, right? Like a virtuous student with chalk and slate in hand, I headed for school. Uh, where I am? Locate me,
I
locate
headed
me.
for school. I
Passage
knew.
and line number.
This. I headed. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I knew I would get the previous month's scholarship that day, and once I would pay the fees with that amount, the jalebis would be completely digested. But When I got to school, I found out that the scholarship was going to be paid the following month. My head started to spin. I felt as if I was standing on my head and could not get on to my feet ever again, even if I tried. Master Ghulam Muhammad announced that the fees would be taken during the recess. When the recess bell rang, I tucked my bag under my arm and left the school and simply followed my nose, walking on and on. If no mountain or ocean,
Block my path.
if no mountain or ocean,
Down.
okay. Yeah, why can't yeah, sorry, I found, yeah. Blocked my path, I would have kept going till the earth ended and the sky began. And once I got there, I would say to Allah Mia, just this once, save me. Order a farishta to pass by and drop just 4 rupees in my pocket. I promise I will use them only to pay my fee and not to eat jalebis. I couldn't reach the point where the earth ended, but definitely reached the point where the Kambelpur railway station began. The elders, the elders had warned me never to cross the railway tracks. Fine. The elders had also warned me that one must never eat sweets with one's fees money. How did this instruction escape my mind that day? I don't know. Such was his resistance, huh? He could not tempt. The temptation was so high. All right, now we are on to the third path, remorseful and scared. He prays to God for monetary help. He makes matters look normal, but prays harder than ever inside. The inevitable happens. Inevitable means something which had to happen, you couldn't stop it. The inevitable happens, though somewhere along the way he notices the divide between the fanciful and the factual. What do you mean by fanciful? Something which is continuously running in your head, in your fancy world, in your whims. You're imagining that thing, but the reality, ground reality, is way, way behind that. है ना वो बहुत ही real होती है, factual, fact based. So this was the case. Who is murmuring in my class? Just let me know the name and I shall do the magical thing. May serve him jalebis hot and crisp. There was a shade giving tree beside the railway tracks. I sat under it and wondered whether there could possibly be a more unfortunate child than me in this world. When the coins had first created a racket in my pocket, the entire matter seemed so simple and straightforward. Eat jalebis with the fees money and then pay the fees with the scholarship money. I thought that 2 and 2 added up to 4 and could never be 5. How was I to know that sometimes it added up to 5 as well? Had I known that I would get the scholarship the next month, I would have postponed my jalebi eating program to the next month as well. Now for the now for the crime of eating a few jalebis for the first time in my life, I was absent from school and crouching in the shade of a tree in a deserted corner of the railway station. Deserted means where nobody comes, kind of forbidden, right? So deserted corner of the railway station, sitting there under the tree. At first I felt like crying. Now the horror was grasping him. Then I felt like laughing. Then I felt like laughing when it struck me that the tears I was shedding were not tears but drops of jalebi syrup. From the jalebis, my thoughts went to the feast, and from the feast to Master Ghulam Muhammad's cane. And from his cane, I thought of God. I closed my eyes and began to pray. Allah Mia, I am a very good boy. I have memorized the entire namaz. I even know the last 10 surats of the Quran by heart. Surats are couplets, mantras. If you wish, I can recite the entire Ayat al Kursi. It's a mantra. Name of that mantra is Ayat al Kursi for you just now. And it's quite long also. The need of your devoted servant is only the fees money that I ate the jalebis with. So, all right, I admit I made a mistake. I didn't eat them all by myself. He's reminding also. I shared. Though I fed them to a whole lot of children too. But yes, it was a mistake. If I had known the scholarship money would be given next month, that's it. I shall continue. I shall continue the rest in the fourth period and we shall be discussing the question and answers. Have you understood the text? Okay.